Welcome to episode 43 of I Thought I Knew How, a podcast about knitting and life and all sorts. I'm your host, Anne Frost, and this episode was recorded on October 20th, 2020. Welcome to season 4, everyone. I've missed you. I have a lot of stuff to get you caught up on, and I have the first of many interviews to bring to you from my trip. This one is with Misa Hay of Shetland Wool Adventures, talking about her new journal that launched last month called the Shetland Wool Adventures Journal. You are going to want to listen all the way to the end of this episode, my friends, because Misa has a gift for 5 lucky listeners. We'll have all the other good bits in this episode too. Music, catching up. It'll be great. Let's get started. You'll have been busy while I was gone. The Facebook group is full of people posting their progress on the Halloween October knit along. Now that I'm home, look for the giveaway listings for that finally in the next day or two. I'm waiting for one last thing to arrive from Amazon. It may arrive today, fingers crossed. In the meantime, keep working away on those projects and be sure to post them in the group. Suffice it to say that the number of giveaways for participants has grown. Check the Facebook group by, let's say, Wednesday the 21st. I will do my best to have the post up by then. You need to post your item to the group by the 31st to qualify, and I'll pick winners on November 1st. Thank you to Cynthia in Ohio for hopping over to Apple Podcasts and leaving a kind review with her rating of the show. Your ratings help other people find the show when they search for knitting podcasts, so I very much appreciate it. Patrons, thank you bunches for your support over at patreon.com/I Thought I Knew How. We had several people join while I was on hiatus. Linda, Jane, Joanne, Maria, Julie, Heidi, Pat, and Liz, thank you for coming on board as patrons. While I was on my trip, I did a mostly daily video for the patrons showing some of the sites along the way. All 31 of those are still there and can be viewed by all patrons no matter when you join. I am going to do one last video to share the yarn and books that I picked up when I was away. It might take a while. I mean, like the actual length of the video might be longish. While I was unpacking, I moved all the bits and bobs of new yarn into one suitcase so I could put the others away, and the new yarn filled a travel duffel bag. Almost all of it was bought for specific projects, though, so I have told myself that it's okay as long as I actually work on the things. I am going to work on the things. This is all okay. Oh, also, now that I'm home, let's do our online knitting again. Patrons at the $5 and up level, that's going to be today if you're listening to this on the release day from 4 to 7 Eastern. Everyone else, our next one will be October 27th from 4 to 7 Eastern. I'll make sure the link is either on the Patreon feed or the Facebook group ahead of time, and I will see you there. I have so many random newsy things to catch you up on that's going to be my focus for this episode before we get to the interview. And then I'll start talking about the actual trip in the next episode. First of all, the interviews did happen as part of Jamieson and Smith's virtual Shetland Wool Week offerings. Thank you so much to them for allowing me to use their recording space. I have interviews with Ella Gordon, Jeanette Budge, Chris Dyer, Terry Laura, and Barbara Gray, and you can find all of those on the Jamieson and Smith YouTube channel. If you are not a big YouTuber, I will be pulling excerpts of those interviews and playing them in upcoming episodes of the podcast, and I will link to the full interview in the show notes as I release them, so you'll be able to find them that way. If you're already comfortable with YouTube, hop over to the Jamieson and Smith YouTube channel and watch them there. Please like the interviews and comment on them, and be sure to subscribe to the Jamieson and Smith YouTube channel while you're there. They had some great content during what should have been Shetland Wool Week. Also, while you're at YouTube, be sure to find the Shetland Amenity Trust account. That is where you will find all of the official virtual Shetland Wool Week videos, including some classes that are actual classes offered at Shetland Wool Weeks. So take advantage of those. One last thing for now is that the Shetland MRI scanner appeal crossed its goal of raising £1.65 million for an MRI scanner for Shetland, and the MRI Mackers crossed £100,000 in their fundraising efforts. Both are amazing feats, and I know that many of you listening were part of that fundraising. So from the MRI Mackers and from myself, thank you so much for your involvement in this cause. Fundraising will continue for a bit longer because the assumed cost was calculated nearly 2 years ago, and reality may run higher than they expected. So there is still time to pick up your fundraising pattern from MRIMackers.com. Because they were expecting to be able to take the patterns to events this year to sell in person, they are flush with them at the moment and are selling them at a discounted rate now that the overall goal has been met. So if you have been waiting to get your patterns, now is a great time to pick up a copy of one or all of them. They will also continue to auction off finished items knit by the Mackers until the final costs of everything are known or until the Mackers have finished knitting things. Any money raised in excess of what is needed for the MRI scanner will go into a general fund that the hospital has that purchases things that the doctors or nurses need that is not covered by the general NHS budget. So for instance, recently they were able to get a diagnostic machine that could detect melanomas. So just an example. And just so you know that if the fundraising continues past that goal, they will still find a use for that money. Okay, I'm going to pause here and bring in our first song. I found a bit of bluegrass for us today. I was searching for happy songs to play in this episode, and I came across this one, which has a happy tune, but a sad message, like the best bluegrass does. This is Wine and Roses by Rickard D. McHugh.
Gone are the days of wine and roses. Gone is the love that I once knew. As one door opens, another one closes. Long gone like you. There was a time we could run forever, never get tired. You were the glue that held it together, till one day you stopped stoking the fire. Gone are the days of wine and roses. Gone is the love that I once knew. As one door opens, another one closes. Long gone like you. Life is what happens when you don't pay attention. By the time that you do, it's too late. What started out in the Garden of Eden would over time escalate. Gone are the days of wine and roses. Gone is the love that I once knew. As one door opens, another one closes. Long gone like you.
The Online International Fiber Festival is coming up on November 9th through the 16th, 2020. The old festival from May is down while I work on the new festival. I know I said I was going to try and keep it up, but when it came time to do it, I just did not have the level of tech savvy I needed to figure out how to do that. So all the pages are still there. So if you actually bookmarked like day 2, if you use your bookmark, you'll still be able to get to it. But the main page has changed and all the links connecting to the first festival are down. But I'm hoping to get all of that back up on a different website. I just can't do it before this festival launches. So if you didn't get a chance to finish something or you want to get back to it, hopefully that first festival will be up again in the coming months. But in the meantime, the new festival is coming in just a few weeks, November 9th through the 16th. While I was away, many of the vendors sent me samples to include in the morning videos. I have a feeling that for many of us, we are going to be able to get a good chunk of our holiday shopping done through the upcoming marketplace. You will absolutely be able to find something for your crafting friends, but we have people selling things that would work for teacher and coworker gifts, gifts for a spouse or an adult child, and even like stuffies for the little ones in your life and more. I'm really looking forward to bringing you the marketplace this time. And giveaways. We are thick with giveaways this time. I do believe I will be starting the giveaways ahead of the festival as part of the promotion. So make sure that you follow OI Fiber Festival on Instagram so you can enter to win those. The classes will be through craftsy.com, and they are running all kinds of intense promos right now, like a full year for $2.50. Get on their mailing list and get signed up. $2.50 for a year of Craftsy is an absolute no-brainer, and you'll be ready to take 1 or 8 or all 24 of the recommended classes in the festival. Remember that one of the benefits of the Online International Fiber Festival is that it is a festival you can do on your own time. I strongly recommend that you watch the morning video every day and you get your marketplace shopping done while the festival is actually going on, that November 9th through the 16th time, because the vendors who have coupon codes, that's when they are active. But if you are working or have family commitments, you can come back to the classes, the afternoon cultural explorations, the meals, and evening events when you have the time. Please be sure to let your friends know about the festival so they can join in. You can tag them in posts about it or just send them an email, and let's enjoy some travel by Wi-Fi together. Do you not have a local yarn store? You should use one of mine. Knit New Haven has yarn, project bags, and more available in their saved stories on their Instagram account. Just look for Knit New Haven, all one word, on Instagram and click on the circles under their bio information to look at the yarn and other products that they have in stock. You can then place an order by calling 203-777-5648. You can arrange to pick up your order at the shop, or they're happy to ship it to you. Look for Knit New Haven on Instagram and watch their saved stories to shop. Morehouse Farm has a series of knit-alongs designed to get your holiday knitting done now so you can enjoy your December without panic knitting. There are 5 kits ranging from felted coasters to headbands to shawls. If you go to morehousefarm.com, you can find the yarn for all 5 of the kits as one massive mega kit. Or you can take the time to order just the kits that you want for the projects that you want to knit. I think there are 3 I'm going to knit with the group, but I'm thinking about getting the yarn for all 5 because even though I don't think I'd do all 5 for Christmas presents, I might use the other 2 myself. And that's okay. Erin's calling that massive kit and this 5 weeks or these 5 projects the done for December, because let's just get our holiday knitting out of the way when we're not stressed about all the other holiday stuff too. You know what I'm saying? So once you have your yarn for it, then hop over to the Morehouse Merino Flock group on Facebook, and Erin will help you with questions you may have along the way with the projects and the other group members. Everybody's so nice in that group, and people just sort of chirp up and help each other out. It's a great group on Facebook. I finished the 100-day wool and dress challenge while I was in Scotland, and then I went on wearing the original red dress and the new blue dress that I brought along for the rest of the trip. It's really comfortable for travel. That's all I have to say. The wool and Rowena swing dress is perfect for the airport, for the airplane, for walking around museums. I had to wear leggings because it is fall in the UK, and so it was chilly and windy, and it was perfect for tromping around in the moors. I took that dress everywhere. It was so comfortable, maybe a little too comfortable. I am not enjoying having waistbands again, but that's my problem. The best thing about traveling with two wool dresses as my main wardrobe was that it saved me so much room in my luggage. Especially with international travel, it's really expensive if you have to upgrade the number of bags that you're taking with you. So being able to just sort of have a very tiny amount of space dedicated to my clothing allowed me to bring much more yarn home. And that's always a good thing. As I said, I had to wear leggings while I was in the UK. Well, Wool And has just released their own line of wool blend leggings now that fall is upon us. I have a pair headed my way, and I will let you know how I like them. But if you want to take a plunge on one of the dresses, please use my affiliate link, and you'll be helping to support the show. The link is not a pretty easy one, so check the show notes or visit the Be a Booster link at ithoughtiknewhow.familypodcasts.com and click through to Wool And using the link in either one of those places, and you'll be helping to support the show. Thanks, guys. As is typical when I travel for interviews, there were a couple of issues. First, I filmed an interview with Terry Laura that my computer ate after I had edited it completely and was getting ready to upload it to YouTube. Terry was an excellent sport and came back to Jamieson and Smith a few days later and re-recorded it and was a total peach for being willing to do that. Second, unfortunately, this interview with Misa Hay was badly damaged. What started as a 25-minute interview has now been cut down to about 9 minutes because there are large sections of it with what I can only describe as the sound of a staccato car horn from an 8-bit video game. I can only assume that my portable recorder was in the throes of death. I have cleaned up the audio as best as I could, but there are large chunks of the interview that were just completely unusable. I'm going to share a bit of the missing information with you now, in a little bit at the end. Do listen through to the end because I'll be sharing a very generous, time-sensitive giveaway from Misa. Misa Hay runs Shetland Wool Adventures, where she hosts wool-related tours from May through September in Shetland. Misa is originally from the Czech Republic and first came to Shetland as part of an exchange program called Global Classroom, which she highly recommends, by the way. When she was in high school, she ended up studying tourism and settled in Shetland, where she worked in tourism and marketing before founding Shetland Wool Adventures. You may have seen posts about her Shetland Wool Adventures journal on social media. I cannot recommend this journal enough. The patterns are a lovely sample of what's being done by designers on Shetland at the moment, and the articles are thoughtful and thought-provoking. The journal is not just about knitting. One of the sections that was lost was Misa explaining that her goal for the journal was to introduce people to what makes Shetland such a special place and to give people a taste of one of her tours in a journal form. So there's something for historians, nature lovers, foodies, and more. It really is an excellent read. I cannot tell you how gutted I was when I downloaded the interview and heard the corruption on the file. Misa is generous with her time and her love of Shetland, and there are some sizable chunks that, as I said, were just unusable. Luckily, Misha has been on a few other podcasts in the last few weeks, and I will link to those in the show notes so you can hear more from her. I hope you enjoy what I was able to save. Misa Hay is the owner of Shetland Wool Adventures, a travel company based in Shetland that organizes group tours for knitters. She has also recently released the first issue of a new journal called the Shetland Wool Adventures Journal. Misha, thank you for having me in your office today.
Well, thank you for asking me, and it's a real pleasure meeting you after all the emails and exchanges. So being person face-to-face, that's lovely to meet you.
I wondered if you would share with us what drew you to Shetland and why you ended up settling here.
Yes, I am here because we had a high school exchange, which was a long time ago, 1999. I came here and straight away I fell in love with the place. I think it was thanks to the host family because they really took me to some beautiful places and we did lots of walking. Mm-hmm. So probably whereas the other students thought it was not very exciting.
So when you first moved here, did you begin working in tourism right away?
Well, I studied tourism when I was in the Czech Republic and my first job was with the local information center. So a steep learning curve.
Yeah, I imagine.
I knew quite a lot about Shetland, but I pretty much had to learn a lot more. Mm-hmm. But it was great because that gave me an insight into what people actually want to do here and just giving them ideas for itineraries and places to visit. Mm-hmm. And then after that, about a year after that, a marketing job came up.
Okay.
Which I applied for and I was successful. And at that point, the local organization became a part of a national network called Visit Scotland. So for those few years, I worked for Visit Scotland for the Shetland area, and then it changed again, and Promote Shetland was started.
People are familiar with Promote Shetland because they're still an active organization.
So I think most people would know the Shetland.org website, which was something we started, and really we focused most of our energy on doing digital and online promotion. Mm-hmm. We were doing lots of video content, podcasts, which wasn't really called podcast in the day. And then Shetland Wool Week was part of that as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that Promote Shetland was part of starting that.
So I was right at the beginning. At that point, we decided rather than starting something new, we would team up with Jamieson and Smith, who run the first Shetland Wool Week. Okay. And since then, the whole event started growing a lot bigger, and more partners were invited around the table, and it just became a huge celebration of Shetland wool and Shetland textiles. It is fun. It's fantastic. Come next year. Yeah, I hope so. Definitely.
Yeah. So from there, you ended up starting Shetland Wool Adventures, which is 3 years old now, 4 years old now? 4 years old now. And you run fiber-related tours of Shetland. And from what I understand, the demand is high for these tours. Can you tell us about the company and about what you do?
So again, my background, like I said, is tourism, but mostly I've been focusing on marketing. So promoting Shetland is my huge passion. So I love promoting Shetland and I love telling people to come here and what to do. And textiles and knitting and wool are such an important part of Shetland heritage and the whole what makes Shetland Shetland. So it kind of made sense to do knitting and textile tours, but there really hasn't been anyone apart from another person who doesn't specifically focus on knitting. That's Andy Ross from Global Yell. He focuses more on the textile side rather than knitting.
Okay.
So I thought it would be great to start something because people were asking, and at that point I was in a full-time job, which was great, but really it was becoming more and more stressful. And I just decided it's time for a change. So on the side of the full-time job, I started a company and started very small with just 4 or 5 tours. And it became very popular. Knitting and hiking was the second one, which is now even more popular than just the knitting one because people love exploring as well. And it's just been growing since. So people are really in the hands of the locals and they're really learning about Shetland firsthand. So,
who are some of the teachers that you bring in?
So mostly the teachers I work with are Donna Smith. She was a Shetland Wool Week patron, I think in 2015. Elizabeth Johnson, she teaches lace. Janet Budge and her lovely mum, they teach Fair Isle. And Anne Junsen, again Shetland lace. And we go to Wilma Malcolmson's beautiful studio. So with Terry, they teach a class about blending colour. It's the same, like coming to Shetland just for a week. You can never see everything. But what I'm trying to do with the tours is just give everyone a flavour or a taste of what's here.
Well, it sounds wonderful. We all know what's going on in the world right now as far as COVID and shutdowns and travel restrictions. Would you like to tell us what your lockdown project was?
Yes. So... yeah, I think it was the end of April, and it was becoming apparent that this wasn't just going to last a couple of months. So I had a dream for a long time, and that was starting publications again, because that was it was a part of my old jobs, which I always enjoyed, print and publications. I decided to do something which would be a combination of publication about Shetland, but also about knitting as well, with knitting patterns and a real flavour of the place. And I think it was 4 months that it took to really start the publication and produce it.
Really amazing.
Yeah, and as I was saying, I was just from the previous jobs being able to work with deadlines and being able to... people that I work with are just a lovely bunch, and they were able to help me and produce things very quickly.
Right. So I was able to sit down with the Shetland Wool Adventures Journal. It's fantastic. So it begins with 6 patterns that were designed by local knitwear designers and by yourself with the help of a friend who is in Fair Isle, right? And then we have, so Ronnie Junsen writes about Shetland sheep. And
which is a fantastic article.
It's a great read. And he really talks about the importance of breed-specific animals in their native habitat and the good that they do there. Chris Dyer, historian and crofter here who does tours. Dr. Carol Christensen's article on fulling cloth, absolutely fascinating. The article by Deborah Lamb about the history of Jarlshof, like if you go visit, you will learn, and then she adds more to it. And that's as far as I'm sort of halfway through the history of Lerwick and learning more. These are really interesting, informed authors putting their work into this journal. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's called the Shetland Wool Adventures Journal, but I don't think it's something that's just for knitters at all. I think people who are interested in history, people who are interested in agriculture, they are going to get something as well.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I do feel totally humbled to hear such a lovely introduction and such a lovely overview. So the next one would be scheduled to come out in March, hopefully. I was hoping it would coincide with the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, if that's going ahead.
I know. Yeah.
So that would be launching then.
Okay, perfect.
I'm excited, and I just can't help myself. I'm always coming up with something new. So
tell people how they can learn more about upcoming tours.
The mailing list is the best place to join me and learn about the newest updates and about the updates. And yeah, just I'm hoping I can have a bit more availability for next year, but it'll all just depend if travel is possible or not. Right.
But in the meantime, we will have the journal to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm hoping to launch something like a digital guidebook. But that's just something I'm working on at the moment. Right.
Oh, and as you say digital guidebook, I noticed the other day you said that people can get digital copies of the journal as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think the beauty is the beautifully printed.
It's a beautiful book.
Book, but at the same time, I know how expensive postage is, so it is a bit prohibitive. So I thought if someone wants a digital version, then actually there's nothing to stop me.
Yeah. So keep that in mind too, everybody.
Yes.
Misha, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. This has been really enlightening. I'm so glad to get to meet you and to learn more about your endeavors here. If you would like to order your own copy of the Shetland Wool Adventures Journal, which again, absolutely love and highly recommend, please go over to www.shetlandwooladventures.com and you'll be able to order it there. If you are in the US, thewoollythistle.com is also carrying it in stock. You can order it directly from there and not have to worry about international shipping. Or talk to your local yarn shop owner and suggest that they carry the journal and then buy it directly from them. As I was leaving her offices, Misha very kindly offered to give away 1 copy each of the Shetland Wool Adventures Journal to 5 listeners anywhere in the world. To enter the giveaway, follow I Thought I Knew How and Shetland Wool Adventures on Instagram. Find the giveaway post on the I Thought I Knew How account and leave a comment letting Misha know what aspect of Shetland you'd like to learn about in an upcoming issue. Tag up to 5 friends while you're there, 1 per comment. I will pick the 5 winners on October 29th using a random number draw and contact the winners through Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram account, just send me an email at ann@familypodcasts.com and put Shetland Wool Adventures in the subject line. Let's have another song before we wrap things up. If you're listening while you're walking, get ready to pick up the pace. This is Shame on Me by Lance Conrad featuring Ashley DuBose. Time for a little sneaky dancing. See you on the other side.
Shame on me, I'm a fool for the melody. I don't wanna stop right now. All I need is a drum with the heavy beat. Hit me with that future sound. It's time to let go, we're not going home. This feeling I can't live without. So shame on me, I'm a fool for the melody. This is our party, and this is where the beat goes down. Feel the music on the stereo. Oh, oh. As we let the rhythm take control, we're gonna dance like we don't care. Keep on popping bottles like we're millionaires. Yeah, we're just getting started, living for the weekend. Shame on me, I'm a fool for the melody. I don't wanna stop right now. All I need is a drum with the heavy beat. Hit me with that future sound. It's time to let go, we're not going home. This feeling I can't live without. So shame on me, I'm a fool for the melody. This is our party, and this is where the beat goes down. This is where the beat goes down. Let's make this night unforgettable. Oh, oh. Making memories we won't recall. One more song is never enough. We ain't gonna stop when the sun comes up. Put the night on replay, 'cause we never wanna lose this rush. Oh no. Shame on me, I'm a fool for the melody. I don't wanna stop right now. All I need is a drum with the heavy beat. Hit me with that future sound. It's time to let go, we're not going home. This feeling I can't live without. So shame on me, I'm a fool for the melody. This is our party, and this is where the beat goes down. This is where the beat goes down. This is where the beat goes down. This is where the beat goes.
A few more things before I go. A reminder that listener Marilee Hall is doing the This Is Me Knitted project, in which you knit a little version of yourself and share some information about yourself and your creativity to help with her PhD project about highly sensitive people and craft. Learn more about the project at merriliehall.com, and that'll be in the show notes. Listener Duke of Nico is raising funds for the Metamorphosis Project in Memphis, Tennessee, which works with homeless LGBT plus youth. He is selling a series of cowl patterns and donating 80% of the sales to the group. His goal is to raise $500 in all. He has posted about it in the Facebook group, and I will stick a link in the show notes to his Instagram post about the patterns, but you can also follow him there as Nico Duke. Finally, a hearty thank you for sticking around through the hiatus. I'm so glad you're back with me. I really have missed the routine of podcasting and being in touch with people. It was a great trip, and I look forward to sharing more about it over the coming episodes, but I am so glad to be home and back to life again. I should be back with another episode next week. I have all these interviews to share, and I'm not going to make you wait ages for them. In the meantime, thank you for listening and knitting with me for a bit. If you would like to support the show, visit patreon.com/I-thought-I-knew-how to make a monthly pledge. You may also consider making a purchase from one of our sponsors by visiting the website I-thought-I-knew-how.familypodcasts.com and clicking the link at the top that says Be a Booster. While you are on the site, you can also find the show notes for each episode. Thank you ever so much to my patrons, Knit New Haven, and Morehouse Farm for sponsoring the podcast. Find me on my social media accounts as I Thought I Knew How, except on Twitter, where it's just Thought I Knew How. The groups on Ravelry and Facebook are both called I Thought I Knew How Podcast. Until next time, may you be blessed with stitches that never drop, yarn without joins, and plenty of time to knit.